5 seconds to go. Start. It is expanding and widening the scope of measurements that even DNA of a person can be taken. Further, there is storage for a period of 75 years. Clause 3 of the contentious bill states who has been convicted, who has been arrested, and any person who is detained by the preventive detention law. What is the definition of a convict? I am seeking a clear cut answer from the Honorable Home Minister. What is the definition of a convict? If you are not wearing a mask and you are violating the lockdown guidelines, then you will be convicted. Even a penal conviction for rupees 1000 is a conviction. There is no definition in the bill. I am speaking well within the ambit of the bill. You made this point at the time of introduction itself. What was there in the original 1920 bill? The 1920 bill is very clear about rigorous imprisonment for one more year. Only then it would lead to conviction. Here, what is the conviction? Even if we are not wearing the mask, you are convicted and fined with rupees 3000 and your DNA can be taken. Police officer, the head constable, and the jail warden are the officers in the current bill. I have given amendments in this regard. Lastly, excessive rule making power is given in the delegated legislation by virtue of clause 8 of the bill, manner of taking measurements, collection, storing, sharing, etc. It is against the recommendations of the 87th Law Commission, which have not been considered. Considering all these aspects, I once again urge upon the government to send it to the standing committee. This is a draconian legislation which takes away the democratic and the fundamental rights of the citizens of our country. So, please send the bill to the standing committee. I strongly oppose the bill. Honorable Chairman, Sir, Vanakkam. This is a draconian bill. Therefore, I strongly condemn this bill. I also urge that this bill should be referred to the standing committee for its review. Many MPs from the opposition, almost all members who spoke before me, explained in detail as to how this bill is against the human rights and how it is unconstitutional. I do not want to repeat once again. I support all their views. This is a democratic form of government. Every bill they introduced here in this house time and again categorically prove that BJP has no capability to rule this country under the democratic setup. Even at the time of introduction of this bill, the opposition parties strongly opposed and condemned this bill. This government forgot to respect the sentiments of the opposition parties by showing its inability and by not withdrawing this bill. They are time and again proving that BJP is incapable of ruling a democratic government in this country. I want to stress another point here. Such records are stored for 75 years. I want to ask whether it is acceptable to say that the human tendency is to engage in crimes. No, a man is not always used to committing crimes. The social setup forces him to do so. Therefore, the social setup is to be blamed and not the human beings. I want to say here that preserving this record for such a long period is not at all necessary. What is the worst activity of this union government? The source law is the Identification of Prisoners Act 1920. This clearly shows that the BJP government has not separated itself from the colonial concept. That is why they want to add more teeth to the source law and make it fearful. They are just bringing everything in the name of technological advancement. I will say this is not to display technological advancement, but the intention of this government is to just keep the people in fear and panic besides threatening the opposition parties. I therefore strongly oppose this bill. Hundreds of Muslims are kept as under trial prisoners in India. Should these under trial prisoners be behind the bars for 10 or 20 years? Why are they kept as under trial prisoners? When we ask to release these under trial prisoners, this undemocratic leadership at the center is not ready to release them. Union government has refused this demand. I want to raise another issue. Within a minute, I will conclude. In every activity you do, you prove yourself to be undemocratic and against the interest of the people and the nation. Yesterday, we heard a voice from Tamil Nadu. It termed it to be dangerous to see the development taking place in the states or in the state government. Who supports this voice? Who gave the right to express like this? By saying this, the leader who is in charge of monitoring the administration of Tamil Nadu has completely violated the provisions. It is a punishable violation. I end by saying that the union government should look into this. Thank you. Honorable Chairman, I would like to urge upon that this bill should never be passed. Sir, this government loves to collect citizens' data but hates to be held accountable. It refuses to protect citizens' data. It does not believe in due process and it definitely does not believe that the Putaswamy judgment is to be followed. Sir, my objection to this bill is not that we cannot collect this data, it is not that we should not use technology to prevent crime. My objection is that the government is bringing in this law without respecting constitutional right to privacy or the right against self-incrimination under Article 20. It wants to create databases of citizens but does not want to provide any safeguards. For example, NCRB is being empowered to maintain a database of measurements collected under this bill. What is NCRB? It was created by a notification. It is not a statutory body. How can a legislation empower a board that has no statutory existence itself? Secondly, under Section 4, no parameters have been provided on who has the power to access this data, what police officer of what rank. I have certain questions for which I would like the Honorable Home Minister to answer. Under what circumstances can a COP be allowed or denied access to this database? What are the permissible uses of this database? What punishment happens if a police officer uses this database in violation of extant law? Will defendants in criminal trials be allowed to use the database to prove their innocence? What will be the procedure to do so? Improper recording or handling of the data in database is a serious concern. What are the safeguards against malicious misuse or distortion of data. Stop.